got a mind full of inspiration, and I ain't living in the past no more. So beat your eyes on the big blue sky and wave bye-bye from the long black Cadillac. Pay the price, gotta roll those dice and wave bye-bye from the long black Cadillac. From the long black Cadillac.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Baseball Banter here on the John Check Sports Media Network. And today we are here to talk about the World Series. That is right, guys. It's time. It's here. The Fall Classic, and I am pumped for it. Now, it sucks that, of course, my boys, the Detroit Tigers, aren't in it. But hey, it is what it is. It's baseball, and frankly, this has been one of the best postseasons I've watched in a long time. Let's start off with the, before we start breaking down the World Series and who I think is going to win, and we're going to do like a positional by positional breakdown of the teams. Let's discuss the LCSs a little bit. The Mets and Cubs, we'll begin with that one first. And the Mets and Cubs, it wasn't that great of a series because of how dominating the Mets were. The Mets, this is how dominating their starting pitching was. Not one time did they trail in that series. They swept the Cubs in 4 games. Daniel Murphy has the second highest OPS ever in a playoff. And he's only like 70 or 7/10 of a point behind Manny Ramirez because he has like an OPS of, I think, 1,010. And Manny Ramirez in 2008 with the Dodgers. I remember when he got traded over from the Red Sox to the Dodgers when the whole Manny Wood happened. And Manny went off in the second half after he got traded to the Dodgers because I believe that was Joe Torre's first year with the Dodgers. First or second year, I can't remember. But nonetheless, no, I don't think Joe Torre was there yet because it was 2008. It was his first year because 2007, I believe, was his last year. Anyways, nonetheless, Manny Ramirez, he basically he went off. He went off that offseason, that whole second half, and I remember that. And Daniel Murphy's homered in 6 straight games. First guy ever in postseason history to do that, which is just crazy nuts. And he's hit home runs off of Greinke. He's hit home runs off of Clayton Kershaw. He's hit home runs off of Jake Arrieta. It doesn't matter. He doesn't discriminate. This man is just a man on a mission right now. And when you have 6 straight home runs in a game, it's just absolutely nuts. I mean, he's doing something that no one in the history of the postseason has ever done. The man is locked in. And Daniel Murphy, he's always been a pretty good hitter. He's been more of a slap hitter, though. A guy hit you 280. Not a guy that's going to hit almost half of his home run total of the total season, in 40 at-bats. It's just been crazy the kind of run this guy's been on. So, the Cubs, they just got totally outplayed and dominated. How they beat the Dodgers, Jorge Soler went off, had a big series, their young guys stepped up, Anthony Rizzo and Chris Bryant, Javi Baez stepped right in for Addison Russell and had, a nice series for them, to even get to that point, how they won, Jake Arrieta was great, Lester was great, Arrieta, his first game, gives up 4 runs, something he had, I think maybe gave up 4 runs in his last 12 starts combined. It was crazy nuts. He looked human, and Lester pitched good, but just the Mets, that starting staff is just so good. It's not even funny. And then basically, like I said, the Cubs, they just completely outplayed. They never stood a chance this series. They were never led once. It was like 2012. Ironic, I'm wearing the Tigers shirt from 2012. 2012 when the Tigers played the Giants. They never led in that series one time. They tied in Game 4 before Buster Posey untied it with a home run. But that was as close as it ever came to having a lead. So it was just pure domination. And between Daniel Murphy, pretty much it was Daniel Murphy's show. The Mets team as a whole really didn't hit much besides Daniel Murphy. He was their offense. Besides Lucas Duda in Game 4, who had, I think, 5 RBIs before the 3rd inning. He was some kind of crazy nuts that game. But yeah, it wasn't even close. And then we move on to the LCS and the American League. Now, this series was great. Very controversial series again. The Royals and Blue Jays. Jesus, apparently the Mets are an American League team right now. But the Royals and Blue Jays. Now, this was a great series. The Royals come up and, wow. The Jays are leading a game. They're up like 10-2. I think it's Game 3 or Game 2. I can't remember. Because they were down 2-0, And then the Royals won the Blue Jays won game 3. They lost game 4. They won game 5, and they lost game 6. It was game 3. The Blue Jays are just blowing them out. And the Royals actually make it a 3-run game. I mean, this team just does not die. They just keep coming back. I mean, they were down 10-2 and made it a 3-run game. And I mean, Troy Tulowitzki had a monster bomb in game 3, too. They went off. Tulowitzki had a bomb. Donaldson had a bomb. I mean, you're thinking, wow, this is a turning point. I mean, they're down 2-0, and now they're going to be 2-1, and then they're still in Toronto. There's a chance they could tie the series the next day. Well, they get blown out. And like I said, they make it a close game. They end up winning by 3. And then the following day, the Royals come out after, they got a lot of runs. They beat the Blue Jays, and it was like 14-2. It was crazy. It's an offensive onslaught. So then we moved to Game 5. And Game 5 was a great game. Marco Estrada pitched just an amazing game. It was outstanding. He went, I think, like 7 1/3 strong innings. His changeup was great. His fastball command was superb. I mean, he gave the Royals new life, or the Blue Jays new life, to make it 3-2 to go to Game 6. So we go to Game 6, and this game was just one of the best postseason games I've ever watched. So David Price is pitching, and he gives up 2 home runs in the first 2 innings. One to Moustakas, and I think the other one to Ben Zobrist. I can't remember. I think it was Ben Zobrist. So even though the Moustakas home run, the fan reached out and over the wall. You could see he reached out over the wall because it had to go above this chain link, this little fence. But it didn't. It was below. You can clearly see the fan grab. It was like a Jeffrey Meyer type thing. If you don't know who Jeffrey Meyer is, just ask any Baltimore Orioles fan and Derek Jeter. He'll tell you who Jeffrey Meyer is. Anyways, nonetheless, they went over to the fan like, hey, Aaron Andrews was out there. And they're like, oh, hey, can you show me where your glove was, where the ball was? That way we could see if it was a home run or not. And he's like, oh, it's right here. He's above the wall. I was like, no, it wasn't, pal. You were over the wall when you grabbed the ball. It wasn't a home run, but it didn't get overturned. So whatever. Then Jose Bautista goes off. Jose Bautista just smacks a solo shot. It's 3-1. So now they're in the 8th inning. Bautista's up again. And he hits a 2-run shot off of Ryan. It was an awesome at bat because he had missed his pitch. He fouled it off. Madsen threw him another fastball up. He's trying to get him to chase up. And Bautista launches this down the line. Squeaks it by like 8 rows up. Kind of close to the foul pole. But it was a rocket shot out. It's 3-3. And all of a sudden, Wade Davis is on the mound. And it starts raining. An hour rain delay before the next time Wade Davis throws a pitch. So it's 3-3. The inning leads off, and I forget who gets a leadoff hit, but they pinch run him. Or Russell Martin. They pinch run him for Dalton Pompey. Pompey comes out, steals second. And then I forget who gets on. Wade Davis walks the next hitter. And then Pompey steals third. So you had runners on second and third, no outs. And I'm thinking, oh man, this is it. This is it. Wade Davis is going to blow this save. It's 4-3 because in the 8th inning, John Gibbons brings out Marcell Ozuna to try to keep the game tied. But Ozuna didn't have his good stuff, and the Royals being a scrappy team, they just battled through it. And Eric Hosmer hit Lorenzo Cain in with a double in the corner. Lorenzo Cain just was booking it from first. He made it from first to home in like 13 seconds. It was crazy. And he never stopped running, just head down the entire way. Bautista cuts it off, throws it into Tulowitzki. Tulowitzki tries to throw Kane out. Wasn't the best throw home, and he was safe. Go ahead, run in. And then Ozuna gets the last of the innings out. And they ended up holding Eric Hosmer to a single instead of a double because he tried to push it for 2, but the throw into Tulo kept him at first. Could keep the double play in order at least. So anyways, it's up 4-3. Davis has got the second. He got the go-ahead run at second, the tying run at third. No outs, and what happens? So, fast forward, Ben Revere's up to the plate. 1 out, guy on second and third. First 2 pitches that Wade Davis throws him. Now, this is the at-bat that changed this entire complexity of the inning. First 2 pitches he throws him are balls. He's up 2-0 in the count. And then Davis comes back with a knuckle curve, outside black. Perfect pitch, but remember this, outside corner of the plate. Because Revere's a lefty. Next pitch he throws is up and away, outside half of the plate, and it was called a strike. It should have been 3-1. And you can even go look on the box. It was way outside. Called a strike, 3-1, or now it's a 2-2 count, and Revere's just like, what? Are you kidding me? No, that's not a strike. He's going nuts, and it wasn't a strike. I mean, it was above the letters first off, so it was too high. and then it was away. So it wasn't a strike. But that completely changed the entire at bat, because on that 2-0 pitch, he throws him that curve on the outside. He's already shown he can hit the outside part of the plate. Now, if the umpire's giving him the outside away upper corner, when it's way up and away, now Revere's screwed. Because he knows that he's got command of the curveball in the outer half, and that the umpire strike zone on the outer half is wide, so now he's got to protect against that. And Davis throws nasty curveballs. I mean, he's just nasty. With that high velo fastball, I mean, he's got so many ways to strike you out. So now that he knows he has to watch the outside corner, and the outside corner is expanded, what does he have him set up for? He's got him set up for another breaking ball. 2-2 pitch. He knows it's going to be something, he's got to protect against, because now he's got to watch the outside corner. He's set up for something off speed now, and what happens? He already threw him a 2-0 curveball, so he knows he can throw it for strikes, so he's got to protect against it, and he's got to watch it closely. Curveball, inside part of the plate, just in the dirt, perfect. I mean, it was just an outstanding pitch. It was nasty. It was filthy. But threw it, inside part, struck him out, and Revere, it was 2 outs. And like I said, that is the at-bat that changes everything. Because if the umpire properly calls that call, it's 3-1. You're not going to see a curveball on a 3-1 count to get Josh Donaldson up to the plate. You're just not going to see that. He's going to come after Ben Revere, because Ben Revere, I think, has 2 home runs in his entire career. That's what's going to happen. He's going to throw a fastball on a 3-1 count and say, do your best, try to hit it. That's what's going to happen on a 3-1 count. He's not going to sit there and throw him a curveball in the dirt. He's going to give him a better pitch to swing at. Not to say that if it is a 3-1 count, Revere wins that game. I'm just saying it puts him in a better position. Because like I said, he already threw him a 2-0 curveball for a strike on the outer half. And now that the umpire has established that the outer half of his zone's wide, and he has to protect against that, it's screwed the entire bat over. So he strikes him out. Donaldson's up. 2 outs. So you got your best hitter up there, even though Donaldson didn't have that good of a series. And he grounds out to Mike Moustakas. And it was a rocket ball. Real rocket ball. Moustakas made a nice pick on it. Chucks him out, and the Royals are going to the World Series. And I was mad because I really wanted the Blue Jays to win it. And, but like I said, that at-bat just made me so mad. It was just a terrible, terrible call by the umpire, and how they botched that home run call, too, the Mike Moustakas home run. It was just bad. And the umpiring, it just wasn't good that series at all. So now we move on to the World Series preview. So let's go position by position, breaking this down, and I'll give you who I think has the advantage and who is going to win it all. So let's start with catcher. You got Travis d'Arnaud versus Salvi Perez. Now, d'Arnaud had a home run in the NLCS, but he really hasn't done much. I mean, he's been good behind the plate thus far. I like him. I think he's a good defensive catcher. I like his glove. But he's not better than Salvi Perez. Salvi Perez has been good in the postseason. The man is just, he's a defensive. He's just a great defensive catcher. He calls a great game. He's got an outstanding arm behind the plate. He's an all-around great player. And d'Arnaud definitely is not better than Salvi Perez. So the advantage for sure goes to the Royals for catching. And then you got first base. Lucas Duda versus Eric Hosmer. Duda just disappears. Now, if you get the Duda that hits 5 home runs in a week and hits 400, then the Royals are screwed. Because Duda has that capability to go off like that and just go on these weird stretches. Kind of like Dominic Brown a couple years ago when he made the All-Star team. He had like 15 home runs in the course of a month and a half and made the All-Star team and then had like 2 the rest of the way. Duda's kind of like that. And the last game, the Cubs saw it. Last game of the series, Duda has a home run and 5 RBIs by the 3rd inning. And the guy didn't hit anything the whole series. We said that game. So it all depends on what Duda shows up. Now, Eric Hosmer, on the other hand, he's been good. Eric Hosmer's an outstanding hitter. He's had big hit after big hit for the Royals. None hit bigger than the one that to score the go-ahead run for KC in the 8th inning off of Ozuna to eventually help him clinch the pennant. And he's such a great defensive first baseman. I mean, I saw him make some plays that, a lot of first basemen, the ball is by him. But he's got such soft hands. And he's clutch. He's coming with big hit after big hit. And he's definitely got the advantage over Lucas Duda because Lucas Duda just disappears. And he's just been terrible. And who knows how he does against the Royals. Now, if anything is to benefit him, is the Royals is a right-handed dominant rotation. So Duda does get to face some righties this entire series. So, but who knows? They could easily neutralize him if it's close late in games with some lefty relievers because, the Royals bullpen stacked. Then we go to second base. Daniel Murphy versus Ben Zobrist. Now, Ben Zobrist has actually had a really good postseason. He's hitting like 333. Well, problem is Daniel Murphy's hitting like 500. And like I said, he's got the second highest OPS all time in a playoff run. And he's got 6 straight games with a home run. So, Daniel Murphy is definitely, right now, better than Ben Zobrist. And he's every facet of the game. I mean, I think it was game 2 against the Cubs. He ended the game with this diving snag to get the runner out last out of the game. I mean, it was he's on some different planet right now. So Murphy over Ben Zobrist. And move on to shortstop. Got Alcides Escobar against Wilmer Flores. Now, Flores has done a good job filling in for Ruben Tejada after Ruben Tejada got taken out by Chase Utley. Flores this series in the postseason is actually hitting 292. I think he's got like a 350 on base. He's done a nice job in his limited at bats that he saw so far. But Alcides Escobar, he's the first guy since Dustin Pedroia to have at least 10 hits and 5 RBIs out of the leadoff spot. He had 4 consecutive games with a leadoff hit for the Royals. He was the ALCS MVP. The guy, he plays a great shortstop, so the Royals have the advantage in that one for sure. Escobar over Flores. And we move on to third base. David Wright against Mike Moustakas. Now, both these guys have not been good in the postseason. Now, Mike Moustakas had that home run in Game 6, and David Wright, he did hit 286, I believe, in the NLCS. And he did walk 5 times to 4 strikeouts, so that's pretty good too. Walking more than you strike out, obviously, and he did have 4 hits and I think 14 at bats in the NLCS. So his bat did come alive a little bit more, which they're going to need. And but I got to give the advantage to the Mets on this one. Mike Moustakas, he's kind of a fluky guy. He gets on real hot streaks. But, both these guys can pick it with the leather. They're both outstanding third basemen. Both have good arms from the hot corner. But I'm going to have to give the advantage to the Mets on this one because Mike Moustakas is kind of a fluky hitter. But really, you can almost go a push because both the guys have not performed well in the postseason thus far. I'm going to give the Mets, though, the advantage with David Wright over at Mike Moustakas. So then we move on to the outfield. We got Alex Gordon, Lorenzo Cain, and Alex Rios against Yoenis Cespedes, Juan Lagares, and Curtis Granderson. Now, we'll start with the Mets outfield first. Yoenis Cespedes has an injured AC joint, but he did say he's going to play. He's probably not going to be 100%. Now, Yoenis Cespedes has not been good in the postseason ever. He wasn't good with the Athletics the last couple of years in the postseason, and he hasn't been good with the Mets. He's got 1 home run, but the home run came against the Dodgers in garbage time when they were already leading, so it was really a non-impactful home run. He really hasn't had many big hits. I mean, you can't give Yoenis Cespedes too much crap because if it wasn't for Yoenis Cespedes, the Mets wouldn't have won the division because they couldn't score 5 runs a game, until they got Yoenis Cespedes. I mean, he's the reason why they won the division, a huge reason why. Because without him, they didn't have an offense. Luckily for them, Daniel Murphy stepped out the way he stepped up to, counterbalance, Cespedes cooling off. But he has an amazing arm in left. He has played some center too. But with him being hurt and already not playing extremely well, it's going to be interesting to see how that factors in based on what his offensive production has already been. Now you go to center field. Now I think Michael Conforto is probably going to play left or right, and they'll have Cespedes in center field in American League games. Or in National League games, because Conforto usually only plays when right-handed pitching is on the mound. And like I said, the Royals being a right-handed dominant team, it gives Terry Collins the advantage to be able to use Conforto more because Juan Lagares isn't nearly the hitter that Michael Conforto is. Michael Conforto is a lot better. He can hit for some pop, and he hits right-handers pretty well. Now, I think what they might do is in American League lineups, when they go to KC, they might DH Conforto so they can put Juan Lagares in center field because Lagares is by far their best center fielder. That way they have their best defensive lineup out there as well. But when they come home to Citi Field, they'll put Cespedes in center and have Conforto in left or right, which I think would make the most sense. So I think that's how they'll do it. But, for now, we'll just say Juan Lagares, he's not really known for his bat, but he's an outstanding center fielder. So like I said, AL, they'll probably have Conforto as a DH as a DH, or they might even DH Cespedes on just to help his arm out a little bit, and then put Conforto in left. But I think Conforto is going to get the ball, like I said, with all the right-handed pitching in the Royals staff. Conforto is going to get the bulk of the plate appearances over Juan Lagares, which works out better for the Mets because, like I said, Conforto is a better hitter than Lagares. And then you move to Granderson, and Granderson had a very good year power-wise this year. He posted his highest average, highest on base, highest slugging, and most home runs hit since 2012. This year, it was a revitalization, for Granderson this year because he hasn't been that good the last couple of years. So, but he hasn't been amazing in the postseason. He's been okay, but they need him to step up too. So I think with Cespedes, Conforto, especially now, because like I said, Conforto, man, he has some sneaky pop. He can hit you some bombs. With Conforto out there, I think that lineup just changes. The dynamic changes because it extends a little bit more. Because like I said, Lagares is not that good of a hitter. And if, Granderson could step up, that's a huge for the Mets. And then you look at the Royals outfield. Gordon, Lorenzo Cain, and Alex Rios. Now, Alex Rios, believe it or not, has had some big hits this postseason. And Lorenzo Cain is just amazing. The guy just shows up in the postseason. He's a clutch hitter. He really is. And his defense in center is outstanding. It's really hard to find anyone better than him with the glove in center field. I mean, Kevin Kiermaier is one that comes to name. That's about as good as Lorenzo Cain is. Those two guys are really, really good with the glove. And then Alex Gordon, he hasn't had the best postseason, but man, the guy's got a rocket for an arm in the outfield, and he's a good hitter too. And then you can't discount the Mets the Royals, bench depth. Because you got Gerard Dyson and Paulo Orlando on their bench too. Paulo Orlando is a really good defensive right fielder, and Gerard Dyson is as good as it comes in center field. You want to talk about a guy that has speed to burn and can cover the gaps? My God, is Gerard Dyson amazing. When they got Gordon, Cain, and Gerard Dyson out in the outfield, it's almost impossible to hit anything in the gaps. Because those three guys, I don't think there's a better defensive trio in baseball when those three guys are out there. Because Dyson, he's super quick. And so is Paulo Orlando. He was a track star. So I got to give the advantage to the Royals outfield. I think the Royals have a better outfield. They definitely get, Cespedes has the best arm out of anyone in this series. I think that's not debatable. I know Alex Gordon's really good too, but I think Cespedes possesses the best arm out of any one of these two outfields. But if you want to talk about depth and overall ability based on what they've done this postseason, I think it's, the Royals had the better outfield. Because again, Cespedes is hurt and he hasn't done much. Granderson's been okay, and then Conforto said sparse at bats because it's been lefties they faced, and Lagares is not good of a hitter. But you look at the Royals, they got depth for days. Dyson, Cain, Gordon, Orlando. I mean, they're just outstanding out. Rios, they're an outstanding outfield. So I give them the advantage over the Mets for this one. And then move on to starting pitching. I don't even need to elaborate. The Mets starting pitching has potential to be the Braves in the 90s when you had Smoltz, Glavine, and Maddox. It really does. And the scary part is this isn't even the Mets going to be their best feature of this rotation. Because they're getting back Zach Wheeler next year. So next year, their rotation is going to be Matt Harvey, Jacob deGrom, Noah Syndergaard, Steven Matz, and Zach Wheeler. They're without Zach Wheeler right now. There is no team in baseball that has 5 starters this young, and just wait till Zach Wheeler's back, and this good. It's scary what they possess. They are literally like teams, some Kershaw and Greinke, perfect example. It was Kershaw and Greinke, and he had no idea else what was behind that. They had no depth. But legitimately, your 5 starters are nothing but 3s and 1s. Because Harvey and deGrom they're aces on any staff. Syndergaard is a 2 on almost any staff, and he has the potential to be an ace. Steven Matz is a solid 3. And Zach Wheeler could be a solid 3. It's scary, the depth they have on this. Now, the Royals, Cueto's been up and down. You don't know what you're getting out of him. Edison Volquez, he's just way all over the place. Some games, he's pitched good in the postseason, but his command eludes him. He's when he's on, he's on. He's a nasty pitcher because nothing that guy throws is straight. And he's been throwing hard, too. He's been throwing upper 90s this postseason. But his command eludes him. And, he has the potential to be that guy that gets blown up because of bad command and leaving pitchers over the heart of the plate. And then you look at your Donovan Ventura. He's a hothead. Sometimes let his emotions get the best of him, even though he's pitched well this postseason. And he pitched well last postseason, too. But the Mets or the Royals just do not have the quality of depth in starting rotation that the Mets possess. So it's not even close to the Mets. And you look at bullpens. Now, the Mets bullpen, they've been flip-flopping guys all over the place. Bartolo Colon's pitched some. Jonathan East has pitched some. Addison Reed and Tyler Clippard's pitched all right. But Terry Collins has asked a lot out of Jerry's Familia. And Familia's come out, and he's been like young Mariano Rivera. He's come out, he's had multiple 4+ out saves. He's done it twice, I believe, this postseason where he's had asked to get more than 3 outs for a game. And he's done great. He's only allowed 2 hits. He struck out 6 guys in 9 2/3 inning. His whip is like 0.455. It's some minuscule number. I mean, sample size, everything, I know. But in the frame of dominance and the importance of innings, that's amazing. So they have had guys that have gotten the ball, getting the ball to Familia and have had a decent enough job bridging the gap to Familia. Now the Royals, this is their strength. If they're going to beat the Mets, they got to hope their starters are good enough, their scrappy lineup somehow scores enough runs and keeps Daniel Murphy in check long enough that they can hand the ball over to Kelvin Herrera and to Ryan Madsen and to Wade Davis, and Luke Hochevar. This is what they're trying to do. Now, the Royals definitely have the advantage in bullpen. Now, who's going to win? I'm going Mets in 6, and here's why. I think Cespedes is going to wake up a little bit this series. He has some familiarity with the Royals. He was in the AL Central for half a season. He played the American League for his entire career up till we got traded to the Mets. Just ride Daniel Murphy out, see how long this goes. Granderson, hopefully he wakes up. Like I said, I really like Conforto now he's going to be getting some at-bats because now that Conforto's getting some at-bats, I think they're just a better lineup. But fact of the matter is pitching wins championships. Just ask the Giants in 2010. The Rangers were this offensive juggernaut in 2010. And what happened? The Giants came out and they shut down the Rangers. They looked terrible. Josh Hamilton was the MVP that year. And then in 2012 when the Giants won. Good starting pitching, lights out bullpen. Their offense wasn't even that good. So, the pitching wins championships. And with this depth, I don't care that the Mets bullpen isn't as good as the Royals bullpen. I think that the Royals are going to have such a hard time scoring off these guys that have been shutting down everyone in the postseason because, think about it. They had to face a Cubs team that was deep with guys that could take you out the yard. Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, Kyle Schwarber, Javier Baez. These guys after guys after guys that could take you out. Dexter Fowler had a great postseason too from a power standpoint. And they shut him down. Flat out. I know the thing that is the different beast, though, for me, for the Royals, is they're a team that does not stop coming at you. They're like a pack of rabid wolves. They chip away no matter if the score is 20-1 or 2-1. Just ask the Blue Jays. And that ALCS, it didn't matter what the score was. They just keep coming at you. They're a hard team to kill. So that is one thing that does concern me a little bit because they're just a scrappy team. But I think overall what's going to happen is the Mets are going to score enough runs. They're going to get to that the Royal staff is going to falter before the Mets staff does. It's just simple as that. They're going to score enough runs. Their starters are going to pitch enough innings to mask their crappy bullpen and get the ball to Jerry Familia. And that's what's going to happen. So the Royals' lack of rotational depth, they haven't faced a staff of pitchers like the Mets this entire postseason. So that is why I think they're going to beat the Royals. Rotation's better. Ride out Daniel Murphy. Now they got Conforto in the lineup. And the Royals are going to be facing a style of pitching that they haven't saw all postseason. Because the Jays couldn't run out 4 guys like that. They just couldn't. So I think the Mets take this in 6. Their staff is way too good. They're going to pitch enough innings, and they're going to somehow mask that bullpen like they've done this year, this postseason, just long enough to get the ball to Familia to close it out. So, that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you enjoyed this. Mets in 6. thanks for watching, and I'll be here to talk about the World Series after it's over with and recap it here on the John Check Sports Media Network. Have a good one, guys.